Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 15th of February. PM Modi meets top leadership in Qatar days after release of Indian Navy veterans. Protesters hold sit-in against rigged election in Balochistan. And Sri Lanka to amend online censorship law after backlash from tech giants. And now for all the details. In the second leg of his visits to the Middle Eastern countries, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Doha and held bilateral talks with Amir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, on Thursday. The Indian Prime Minister, who is on a two-day official visit to the Gulf country, also held bilateral engagement with his counterpart, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, and discussed ways to strengthen ties. The crucial visit comes days after release of 8 Indian naval veterans who were earlier sentenced to death for alleged espionage by Qatari authorities. The released personnel have credited PM Modi for his personal intervention, whom the Indian Foreign Ministry has said personally supervised the developments in the case. Ahead of the general election in the country, India's Supreme Court on Thursday scrapped a 7-year-old election funding system that allows individuals and companies to donate money to political parties anonymously. Announcing the verdict, the top court termed the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional and said anonymous electoral bonds violated the right to information and Article 19(1)(a). The apex court directed State Bank of India to stop issuing any more bond and asked it to furnish the details of electoral bonds encashed by political parties. The Thursday's judgment came on pleas challenging the schemes on grounds that it hindered the public's right to know who had given money to political parties.
Supreme Court has struck down the electoral bond scheme, comprehensively struck it down, and all the provisions that were made to bring it into effect in the Income Tax Act, in the Companies Act, etc., everything has been struck down. They have held that this violates the fundamental right to information of citizens to know about who is contributing this much money to political parties, etc.
And protests have erupted in parts of Balochistan and other parts of Pakistan against election results marred by accusations of rigging. Uncertainty has continued with political parties jostling to form a coalition government.
Hundreds of protesters gathered in Qatar, the provincial capital of Balochistan, for a sit-in on Wednesday, adding to this week's demonstrations against Pakistan's election results, marred by accusations of rigging. Workers and supporters of different political parties blocked all main highways linking Balochistan with other provinces in protest over what they say was vote rigging. Several members of Baloch, Pashtun and Hazara nationalist parties of the province protested in front of the office of the district returning officer.
जिस तरीके से यहाँ पे इलेक्शन का इनेकाद किया गया, जिस तरीके से यहाँ पे इलेक्शन का जो ड्रामा रचाया गया और जिस तरीके से सीटों की बदकिस्मती से खरीदो फरोख्त की गई, और इस इलेक्शन में हम समझते हैं कि इलेक्शन नहीं था, ये कोई धंधा था। यहाँ पे कारोबारी लोग आए, माफिया के लोग आए, उन्होंने यहाँ पे सीटों की खरीदो फरोख्त की और वो अब जाकर अभी असेंबली का हिस्सा बने। ऐसे लोग भी जो हैं वो असेंबलियों में अभी हम पे मुसल्लत किए गए हैं नुमाइंदगी के नाम पे, जो अपने गली के थे वाकिफ, हल्के से वाकिफ नहीं थे और हल्के का एक गली से वाकिफ नहीं थे, जो कैंपेन का वो हिस्सा ही नहीं बने।
The nuclear-armed nation of 241 million people is grappling with an economic crisis amid slow growth and record inflation, along with rising militant violence. Analysts say the new coalition government led by PMLN leader Shehbaz Sharif will most likely face challenges on many fronts.
I think the country stands at a very critical juncture, and country requires a holistic approach, a reformist agenda, which could not only provide some political stability, but should also come up with a new economic policy which could not only cater to the economic growth.
Moving on, Sri Lanka has decided to amend its strict new internet censorship law after opposition from global tech giants who risked criminal prosecutions for content shared on social media. Information Minister Bandula Gunawardena said the cabinet had decided to amend the controversial online safety law, which was rushed through Parliament last month despite vocal opposition. The law as passed makes social media companies liable for any content posted on their platforms deemed offensive by Sri Lankan authorities. Opposition lawmakers have decried the law as an effort to censor political speech ahead of presidential elections due later this year. The law mandates prison terms of up to 10 years for executives of social media platforms if their officers fail to disclose user details of those accused of creating posts deemed illegal. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in its latest report has said that Afghanistan has 6.3 million internally displaced people who are facing long-term displacement. OCHA called the current situation worrying and said that Afghanistan has the second most internally displaced people in the world. Poverty is a factor that has caused the people of the nation to leave their homes, in addition to insecurity and conflict. Since seizing power in August 2021, Taliban has imposed severe restrictions, especially on women, disrupting their daily lives. Following such restrictive policies, no country has formally recognized Taliban's regime in Afghanistan. Following the recent enchanting snowfall, the picturesque tourist resort in Sonmarg in India's Jammu and Kashmir is buzzing with vibrant activities, drawing a large number of visitors seeking a winter wonderland experience. From snowfall fights to exhilarating sledge rides, tourists are reveling in a plethora of activities. Earlier, a lack of snowfall had led to empty ski resorts and holiday cancellations in Kashmir, with scientists linking the unusual winter to the El Nino weather phenomenon. The recent snowfall has not only enhanced the visual spectacle but also bolstered the local economy, bringing joy to those reliant on the season and influx of tourists.
मैंने लोगों को बहुत सारे लोगों को देखा है जिन्होंने फॉरेन घूमे लेकिन कश्मीर नहीं देखा। कश्मीर नहीं देखा तो मतलब कुछ नहीं देखा आपने। भारत में रहते हो या कहीं पर भी रहते हो तो आपको कश्मीर तो हर 100% देखना ही चाहिए। और यहाँ पे जो सुविधाएं दी जा रही है तो अभी बहुत आसान है घूमने के लिए।
हमने वीडियो देखे तो पता चला लगा कि हमारा सारा पैसा डूब जाएगा क्योंकि यहाँ भी बर्फ था नहीं, ठीक है। लेकिन नसीब भगवान का अपना भी यहाँ पे आके बहुत मजा आया। काफी अच्छा है, ठीक है। बंदे भी अच्छे, लोग भी अच्छे, और लोगों को भी मैं एडवाइस करूंगा कि प्लीज आओ। कश्मीर बहुत बढ़िया जगह है। वो बोला था ना किसी ने कि स्वर्ग है तो यहीं पे है, यहीं पे है।
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.
Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.